morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And welcome to Friday. Yeah, get that coffee out. Maybe put some libations in it. You've earned it. We've got Thanksgiving coming up, and it feels like a lot of people were acting like Thanksgiving was this week, but nope, it's going to be next week, next Thursday and Friday. We will be closed next Thursday and Friday, but don't worry, because the website is up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and Jason and I, we're going to do our best to try to have a cool special out there for the Thanksgiving holiday, but I don't know. We don't know what's going to be available. Jason, we got gold down a little bit. Silver's up. Matter of fact, from yesterday when we put all that silver on sale to now, silver's made a really nice move back above 21.15, up another 17 cents. I still have all of the items from yesterday on sale. We're going to leave them on sale, at least try to, for the rest of the day. Take advantage, because we had two things. We had some profit taking, which was nice. Not a lot. Yesterday we were talking about, hey, silver was down 50 cents. Well, now we're talking about, a 25-cent drop in silver price. But we did have premiums come down, some inventory, obviously, that wholesalers had when silver was $18 and $19. Hey, they're going to let you clear it out for them. But Jason, my guess is by Monday, these premiums are going to be right back.
Yeah, well, Joe, I don't know. You're better at guessing on the premiums. Obviously, when supply gets tight, the premiums go up. So obviously, in the future, the premiums will go up when the supply gets tighter. But Joe, you think on Monday, rest right back up. So there you go, guys. You might want to buy it today.
Yeah,
right?
And I can almost bet on it, because I just got an email, Jason. I know you saw it.
Yes.
One of our wholesalers has already given up on getting any gold for 2022, as far as like American Gold Eagles. They're taking pre-orders for 2023 and saying, hey, delivery sometime at the end of January. I mean, this just gives you a good indication of the fact that, you got to remember, the Mint's getting ready to shut down here and start getting ready for the 2023 coins. So it's going to be tightness, and this is just one of those lucky little things. They know, because it's Thanksgiving. Hey, it's going to be a little slow. Let's give some incentive here.
Makes sense.
But as soon as Thanksgiving, dude, those premiums are going away.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I should say, let me rephrase that. These little bit lower premiums are going away.
And then you'll be saying, well, I should have bought the week before Thanksgiving. That'll be it, right, Joe?
Well, yeah, and that's how it usually works, right? Because everyone's in holiday mode. Listen, I'm in holiday. My wife, wow, is she in holiday mode? She's just so excited. Our kids are coming home, so that's a big part of it. And we're having a bunch of people at our house, so it's going to be a fun time. But that usually is how it works and we got lucky this year, because we had this big pop in the gold and silver price. I mean, think about the last couple of weeks. Silver went from $18 to almost $22. Gold went from $1,620 to $1,792. Those were big moves. So I understand what they're doing. I hope you take advantage. I really do. We have dimes and quarters on sale. $120 on dimes, $240 a roll on the silver quarters. And then Silver Eagles by the roll at $770, by the case at $19,000. And I will say this, the first two people that buy a case of Silver Eagles from us today, they're going to be sealed 2020 Silver Eagle cases. And, of course, 2020, because of COVID, Jason, as you know, that was a low mintage year.
Yeah. Silver started doing weird stuff starting in 2020, right, Joe? And that's when all these high premiums hit us. We haven't had the regular premiums since 2020.
Since then.
Yep. Yeah. It's going to be like that for a while, John. We're just in a different market now. You know, we always report about what happened historically with silver and gold in markets, and they all have their own story. Like the inflation of the 70s. Well, we compare our inflation now, but it's still a different situation, Joe. You have to look at history and then view your current situation differently.
800-951-0592. And again, it's pretty cool. Obviously, 2020, most of us would like to forget it ever happened, but having a sealed case of 2020, the year of COVID Silver Eagles, kind of a cool thing. They're 19,000. Here's the problem, though. These are available to everybody, so there's only a couple of them. Matter of fact, they only have 7 total boxes. I've already bought 2 boxes, so if you want to get in on it, do it now. If you do it now, you may be able to get more than the 2 that I have. 800-951-0592. Sealed cases of 2020. I'll call it the COVID Silver Eagles. Or go out to allamericangold.com as well. You'll see everything there. We've got a split market on Wall Street as well. When we get back, housing. I know. How bad is it? And how much worse is it going to get? We're going to talk about it. More stunning numbers from housing. Patriot Radio News Hour. Don't touch that dial. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason. And just like that, one case already gone. We've got 2020. These are sealed. 2020 cases of Silver Eagles at 19,000. If that's out of your budget, we've got rolls of Silver Eagles at 770. If that's out of your budget, we've got rolls of silver quarters at $240. If that's out of your budget, we've got rolls of silver dimes at $120. And you guys know, I'm not a fan of silver. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's heavy. Takes up room. But the need to have it, in the 20 years I've been doing it, never been greater because we know this digital currency is coming. I mean, it's not by accident what happened with crypto. And now all of a sudden, all the big banks, there's some big law firms now involved in this New York Fed 12-week trial. You're going to need barterable material. 800-951-0592. Now let's talk housing because we know it's an important part of this economy. We had home builder confidence numbers out. This was from a couple of days ago. This is deep into recession territory. So this number, think of 50 as, hey, it's not horrible, but it's not great, right? 50's kind of, it's okay. 50's okay. Anything above 50, hey, good times. Below 50, yeah, that's not good. The number for October came in at 36. That's for expectations. The headline number even worse at 33. But wait, there's more. Future sales fell to 31. This is going back. Now, these are numbers we didn't see. These are Lehman Brother type numbers. But guess what, Jason? It gets even worse. Current buyer traffic came in at 20, all but disappearing. And then today we had existing home sales. Existing home sales, they're falling 6% a month. They're now down almost 30% year over year. It is the worst level since 2008. They're saying annualized now, the housing is down to 4.4 million. Just think about this. 6 months ago, this number was 6.4 million. Now, and again, we know come January, there's a good chance in January we could see sales down 50% because there was a big rush, right, to get a house before the Fed started raising rates in March. But here was what was interesting in the number. So all of you out there that have to sell a home, you know what? I'm going to, for you people at least in Colorado, I'll give you the name of the best realtor in the Front Range, James Morgan, 720-203-0731. I'm going to tell you why that's important. You better have that house priced right or it will not sell. Here's what they're saying. They're saying that, first of all, the median price, and they list the median. They don't want to say the average price because it'd scare everybody, $379,100. So every home sold, half of them were below that number, half of them were above that number. The average price well above $400,000. That is still up 6.6% from October of 2021. But here's the big thing in all of this. They're talking about supply. There's 1.22 million homes for sale. That's a 3.3 month supply, which is still low historically. But 60 days ago, it was a 2-month supply. So we're very quickly moving up. But in October, they said either your home sold in 20 days or it didn't sell at all. And according to the realtors, the only homes are selling need to be priced right. And if you don't sell it immediately, Jason, apparently it's not going to sell.
Yeah, Joe, and you were doing the existing home sales down number. And it's interesting with the hot uptick in prices, especially in 2021. It's in the neighborhood that I bought my house. All of the existing homes, when they did go for sale, which was rare in 2021, there wasn't anybody selling that year. They were always priced almost $200,000 more than the new builds that were still being built in the neighborhood. And it's interesting how that worked out, Joe. That the new home builders, I think the only reason we haven't had more of a home apocalypse is the greed of current homeowners wanting to get that higher price has allowed the builders to sneak underneath with the lower prices. I mean, usually it's that way anyways, but I mean it's significantly lower to buy a new build, at least in this area. So it makes
I'll say this: all cash becoming even more popular.
Yep.
The highest level we've seen in quite some time. Almost 30% of all sales were all cash, right? People are like, I don't care what the mortgage rate is, I'll just pay cash. But to your point, Jason, this is something where if your home's been on the market for 120 days, price cuts have averaged down 16%, but they're still not selling. So, again, pricing it right is probably the most critical thing because there's not that many buyers out there. You got to look at it this way. There's not that many buyers out there. So let's just say you got a buyer. They're looking for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. And they want to spend, whatever it is. I don't know, $500,000. Well, guess what? There's going to be a bunch of those 4-bedroom, 3-baths out there. They're going to buy the best one, right? The nicest one for the best price. It needs to be priced right because if you're not priced right, Jason, it doesn't sell. There's just not enough buyers out there, and the ones that are, they're being really picky, and they're buying, which was what anybody would do, right? They're going to buy, the best deal out there.
Well, you got to compound that. So you're saying that there's a lower amount of home buyers out there, and that number gets it goes lower when it's the people that are wanting to buy homes that can actually get one. Because you may have a $500,000 house, but if the potential buyer can only finance for up to $400,000, it's not going to get your house. So you're also losing there, Joe. Depending if your house is too much money for the new buyers coming in that can only get the smallest, cheapest possible house, that group of potential buyers even shrinks further, Joe.
Yeah, and that was the other thing they talked about in the report, affordability. They said they were talking about people that, hey, they could afford it 3 months ago, they can't afford it today. The people, there is a ton of people that could have afforded a house 9 months ago are completely shut out. And to, when we look at permits, right, we see that the home builders have stopped. Toll Brothers, big announcement, just walked away from a ton of land deals where they had put money down and were getting ready to develop them. They said, forget it, keep my money. It's not worth it. We're better off writing it off than we are to try to build houses in this marketplace. But, Jason, the one thing that they're still building, apartments.
Yes.
That's
getting ready to happen in my neighborhood, too. I got the little newsletter that comes on the emails. And I live in a pretty big housing area. That looks like
your housing there. It is huge.
Huge.
To give people in Arizona a comparison, Jason lives in an area very similar, like Anthem. Here in Arizona. So if you know, like Anthem, these master plan communities, I mean, it's a huge housing development. And now what are they doing? Well, this land, you know what? Forget putting houses on it. Let's put some apartments.
They're going to double the development will double. They're starting the north end of this project next year. It's going to double the land, not maybe a little less than it, but it's close to double. And it appears that I haven't looked at it closely, but it looks like it's all apartments and schools going in. And it's north of my development. It's going to double the size of this housing area, but it's all apartments, Joe. And we know what they're building on I-25. They're putting on the largest truck stop in the country. They're putting one of those in the Johnstown exit. That's just a little bit north of where I'm at. It seems like every time a Walmart gets built, there's always apartment buildings all over the place. So it's happening, Joe. It's apartment buildings galore because people aren't going to be able to afford houses.
Get ready. Own nothing and like it. I hope you have your gold and silver put away because you are definitely going to need it. Now, we were talking about very confusing from the Federal Reserve. Lael Brainerd came out with some stunning things talking about maybe the need for pauses. They've come out since other people have come out. Oh, no, we are still going to raise rates. Bullard yesterday saying, listen, 5 to 5 1/4 is the minimum. We may have to go all the way up to 7. But some interesting news out of the FDIC. Kind of important because you know how many Americans think the FDIC is going to save their bank accounts? It's sad because it's not really the case, right? How can you save trillions of dollars of deposits with $130 billion? You can't do it. Of course, that's why they created Dodd-Frank. Dodd-Frank had nothing to do with too big to fail. Dodd-Frank simply had to do with changing the rules on what happens to your money in your bank accounts. And now there are some law firms involved in this crypto test, this central bank digital currency test, really gets the dander up. Because why would a law firm be involved? It doesn't make sense. Or maybe it does make sense. By the way, this law firm heavily involved in other cryptos, including the one that just went belly up last week. But news out of the FDIC talking about the true risk weight of major banks' mortgage-backed security portfolios is much closer to $10 trillion, or 3 times the U.S. banking industry's equity capital. So think about the big banks. They're lucky if they've got $3 trillion in equity capital. And, of course, most of that is just your deposits. The entire $13 trillion in unpaid principal balance. So let's see, you got $10 trillion exposure, $13 trillion in principal exposure. If 10% of people all of a sudden get fired, lose their job next year, and can't pay their mortgages, right? You're talking about $1.3 trillion losses, and all these banks, all of them combined only got $3 trillion. Yeah, somebody's going under, right? Because that math just doesn't work. Now, they said, but they weren't done. They said that when you have the unpaid principal balance, they have a risk weight. Oh, risk weight? What's risk weight? Well, think of it like leverage. Puts the bank's exposure closer to $30 trillion. And some are speculating that is why Lael Brainerd came out and said, hey, we may need to slow down and take a break from these rate hikes, Jason.
Yeah, and it's really convenient for the Fed to have people in their organization tooting both sides, because maybe they don't for sure know themselves which way they need to go. And so if you say both sides, then you always have one genius that called it right, supposedly, I guess. Right, Joe? So
well, and again,
she's the next one up, so this could be important for her to be right.
I just said houses sitting on the market for more than 120 days cut their price by 15.6%. All of a sudden, if they're starting to cut price below what the mortgage is, we're going to have problems. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592, the continuation of the silver special. We still have that one case of 2020 Silver Eagles. This is a sealed case. Just kind of the price is just fantastic. I mean, $19,000 for the case. On Wednesday, you're looking at over $20,000. So over $1,000 less today. 800-951-0592. We got regular Silver Eagles, rolls of Silver Eagles, $770. Quarters and dimes as well. The quarters at $240, the dimes at $120. I got bad news in crypto here. Expect more fallout in the coming weeks. I hope you have your money. If you have it somewhere, have it in the big exchanges. There's words now starting to come out. Places like Multicoin and others had heavy positions in FTX. And Jason, unfortunately, it looks like even more fallout to come, which really the bad part about that is this is going to create the reason why, you got to have this digital currency. We got to get it done.
Yep, yeah, and it's coming, and they're already testing it out, right, Joe? They started that up this past week, so they're
it's a 12-week test that's happening right now. It involves banks, Visa, MasterCard. I mean, it's a simulation, and what was interesting is now there's a major law firm involved as well, which just gives me the creeps because, first of all, this is just a simulation. So what's the law firm all about? And I got a pretty good I got a pretty good idea of what it is. Right? They're going to write new laws as to what you can do with your money because, let's face it, a central bank digital currency just lets you know who actually owns the money and who actually doesn't. Very interesting news out of India today. I think all of this is tied together. Of course, India, outside of China, India, the next biggest player in gold demand, gold buying, continues to remain extremely strong in India, but that wasn't really the big news. They're talking about the Indian Central Bank has purchased over 200 metric tons of gold just since late 2017, but now they've come out and said, hey, the need for us to increase our gold holdings becoming more important. And so the Indian Central Bank now, Jason, letting, I guess, the world know, hey, we're going to go back into these gold markets. And they've been buying a little bit, 5 tons here, 10 tons here, but this note looks like, Jason, they're going to be stepping up purchases of gold. And, of course, this seems to be this growing trend. At least India's letting it be known. We still don't know who was buying all that gold last quarter.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's a good nugget of information because there's a lot of buying going on, and as long as it's an honest story that you're reporting, Joe, that's pretty big information. India's like, you know what? We don't know who's buying it. We know they're buying it. So unfortunately or fortunately, we're going to buy more now.
Let me give you the words they used. Significantly raising its gold reserves. Significantly raising their gold reserves. Now they've got over 200. Well, they purchased over 200 metric tons. So what does significantly mean? I mean, are they going to double it? Are they going to triple it? Very interesting words coming out of India's central bank.
Joey, and we've talked about when they were resetting the economy worldwide. It's happening right now. In history, the future, they'll talk about the history of this. And the range of these things happening are going to go back the past few years on. And I don't, Joey. We talk about a gold, having gold be what backs up this new currency system. I don't know if it'll do that, Joe. I actually kind of think that these countries and these central banks are buying it so that it can be leveraged when one country is weak or one bank is weak. The gold holdings that they have under extraordinary circumstances, worldwide depression, an economic reset, nobody fails too badly because they can always dip into the reserves of gold, Joe. And I think that's kind of a gold-backed money system, but I don't think they'll actually back the currency with it.
It'll be interesting. I think, here's what I think. This is just, me putting together hopefully some cognitive thoughts here. This is going to get ugly. Okay, let's not kid ourselves. We're not going to have Walmart and Target and every other major retailer out there just banning accepting of cash, because that's what's going to happen until something big occurs. This is going to get ugly. I think there's going to be a lot of pain in all of this. And I think what the central banks are doing is, hey, we're all going to go digital. We're all going to have the central bank is now going to essentially be the holder of your bank accounts. I think what they're trying to do is say, hey, you can trust this, right? Because, that other stuff was fiat. Right? It was just paper with pretty colors on it and pictures. But we have this gold sitting here. To your point, Jason, are they going to back it per se? Maybe some countries will, but I think a lot of them are just saying, hey, but look, hey, we got a bunch of gold here, right, to try to give credence to it. And the central bank, we own it, right? We own it, and we own this digital currency. So they're going to try to probably paint a picture that it's backed by gold because they hold a lot of gold, but maybe they don't actually back it, but they imply it. Yeah, Does that make sense?
Yeah, Joe. So in effect, by these countries and these central banks buying the gold, they already are backing up the new currency with gold, because when something goes wrong with the new digital currency system, like I said, any bank or country that is in shortfall, something goes wrong economically with this light switch being turned on for the new system, the gold is what's going to help them shore up the bad side effects of the new system. So that's gold doing its job as money. That essentially the world and these central banks are just telling everybody, gold is money. We're going to change the currency, and when we change the currency, there's going to be some turbulence. Gold is how you're going to survive the turbulence, Joe.
What it looks like. Sure does. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason will be back after the break. 800-951-0592. I don't even know where to go here. Breaking news. It's just not good. record foreign central bank dumping of U.S. Treasuries. The numbers have just come out here. Central banks, both the Fed, foreign, morphing into the largest buyers of Treasury notes and bonds over the past 2 decades, are now the largest net sellers. Japan and China leading the way. The largest combined monthly drop on record, selling $118 billion of Treasury notes. The vast majority of that, the Japanese, Jason, desperately trying to keep their currency from collapsing, sold $114 billion of their holdings. Just an incredible pace here.
Well, Joe, it was December of 2019 when Japan and China were selling tons of U.S. Treasuries, right after the repo market trouble we had, and right before coronavirus hit. Joe, that was a ton of. I mean, Japan wasn't even selling any treasuries really until suddenly in 2019 in December. It's like suddenly they started selling a bunch right before that huge crash and the coronavirus emergency. So here we are. They're doing it again, Joe.
Yep. They had 1.3 trillion at one point. Now getting ready to go below a trillion. China already below $1 trillion, and of course all this gold buying. I wonder if maybe it's Japan. Maybe that's what I don't know. Trying to, I got the professor Glenn Biddle just sent me a text calling it fancy fiat. These, what we're describing with all these central banks buying gold. If they don't set up an exchange rate, that's exactly what it would be, right? Fancy fiat.
That's a good way to put it. What was that? Sounds like that cat food commercial. Fancy feast.
Fancy feast.
Fancy
feast. No, that's just fancy fiat is what we'll be looking at. By the way, U.S. cattle herds, the lowest since Lehman. They're expecting big increases in beef prices next year. England and the U.K., Jason, they've started putting limits on egg purchases in the UK supermarkets.
Yeah, I've seen some of these, ranchers taking cattle to slaughter, and I see that they have these lines going down a highway where you have to wait all day to get your for the smaller ranchers to get a couple of head of cattle butchered, or sometimes they just don't see you at all. They tell you to call back next month. And then the slowness in which they're doing the butchering, and then it just seems like you had that you see those lines, Joe, and then what was it? How many months ago we had that 20,000 cattle just fell over and died in the heat, right? I mean, it's kind of interesting. How this is happening.
The mystery death.
Yeah, I mean, long lines at the butchers. They're not taking. I remember Brian, our partner, had trouble just getting one of his taken care of, right? And you see these lines, and then suddenly 20,000 cattle just die. Once again, is the problem with meat and cattle supply something that's an accident, or is this on purpose, right, Joe? You have long lines, you can't get it done, and then 20,000 just die. Of course, just die. Yeah. They couldn't handle the heat. 2022 heat somehow is different than all the other heat waves that I've ever hit that didn't kill 20,000 head of cattle in Kansas. So I find that interesting, Joe, that you brought that up, because I think the prices of a lot of things are going to go up, and whatever new emergency, if the war gets bigger. Glenn Tate's coming on the next hour with us. I'm going to ask him. Brian brought up this really cool fact that I did not realize until he said it on the air on Faking the Truth, and I'll bring that in. But it makes you think, Joe. It's like look at this. It's all economics, isn't it? It all comes down to who owns and controls the assets, right?
Exactly right. And if you go out to allamericangold.com, we have the article up, the Martins, Wall Street on Parade. And I love these guys, husband and wife team. They just do fantastic research. They have brought to light this little test that the New York Fed is doing. Sullivan and Cromwell is the law group that is involved with this test. They are a prominent law firm that does a lot of representing of crypto companies out there. FTX and Alameda were two of their clients. Kind of interesting there. Wouldn't that be an automatic grounds for disqualification? Right? Wait a minute. You represented these guys. Yeah, we're not using you, right? But nope. Here they are. They are heavily involved in this test. And again, this is they're calling it a test, but this obviously it's more than a test. They already know it works because they've done those. But this simulation, Jason, apparently the Federal Reserve feels the need that they have to have a law firm involved here.
Well, you have to run tests, even if you know it'll work. You have to make sure that you educate the other powers that be, the lessers of the economic system. They've got to trust it, Joe. So you have to have school, right? You can consider this school for the people that don't understand digital currencies. You got to show them, well, here's our test. I'm sure there's a lot of guys on computers that are potting into this test and looking at it, so that every bank in the world will be comfortable with it when they launch it, Joe.
Yeah, it's just a law firm, right? Why?
Just a law firm.
Law firm.
Yeah.
Just a law firm.
My guess is the law firm is because there's a lot of economic interest asking questions legally, and the law firm's going, okay, we got the answers for that.
Don't worry. I'm sure our accounts will be just fine. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment for the week. 800-951-0592. Get rid of that fiat. Because fancy fiat's still fiat. Get the thing that's been money for thousands of years. It's the only thing. Talking about gold, talking about silver. We got a great silver special. We still have that. We got that one case left of 2020. Believe me, you're going to love having it because I know that it was a low mintage years. We're seeing what's happening in the pricing of sealed cases of Silver Eagles that were minted in the 90s, selling for huge money out there, Jason. This 2020, I think this will be a collector's dream for years to come. And sealed cases, that's the way you want it, because that's going to be worth the big bucks. It's $19,000 for that. Rolls of Silver Eagles, $770. Rolls of silver quarters, $240. Silver dimes at $120. At 800-951-0592. And silver's really come back nicely from yesterday. Yesterday was down to like 2075. Right now, 2110. So it's made up most of the pullback there. I was hoping to get out of here today because a lot of times we get these layoffs on Friday. Well, it just hit the tape. Carvana. They're laying off 1,500 employees due to what they say is economic uncertainty, Jason. And, of course, Carvana, this is the car market, kind of like housing. The car market and the housing market really trended in that same direction, Jason.
Yeah, that's we're seeing that there's a lot less money floating around for everybody. And when you own a business or whatever business you are, they say uncertainty. I'm guessing they're saying my sales are going down. I project.
Yeah, there's nothing uncertain, right? I mean, let's not kid ourselves.
Right.
Here's what's certain: their sales suck. That's what's certain.
That's correct. And you don't fire people because you think things are going to go bad. You fire people when things go bad. It's just a silly thing, right, Joe? I know that some companies downsize. I get that, and they're trying to. I know when a company buys out another company, you streamline it, but that's not what they're saying. They're not saying, "Hey, we're being bought out and we're streamlining for our new owner." They're saying, we think things are going to go bad, so we're just going to fire a bunch of people just in case it does. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it's just sad, and again, we'll keep watching. It's not that bad yet, but we've got to keep our eye on the prize. When we talked retail yesterday, we've got some retailers that have really done a good job of showing what's happening. We got numbers. We talked about Target, Macy's, Kohl's. A lot of these retailers were saying, "Hey, man, things were good. Things were good in August. Things were good in September. Then October came, and things got not good in a hurry." And I think that's what's kind of has a lot of people right now on Wall Street. Like this rally, again, we've seen these rallies before on Wall Street because they're hopeful that, hey, you know what, things are getting bad. Somehow the Fed is going to magically be able to stop raising rates. And then, of course, we always end up being fooled by it because inflation is just, listen, you don't put this genie back in the bottle that easily. And before they stop raising rates, there's going to be a lot more pain to come. 800-951-0592. Jason and I are going to wrap up the week